Hello my friends, welcome to Pro Strings. I'm Henriette and this is lesson 38 of the violin class for beginners that uses the Crickboom method. Today we are learning Noel Provencal, and if you have a red book it's written on page 26, and if you have a green book you can find it on page 17. So today I'll help you sort out all the fingers and all the bowings in this piece, and by the end of this lesson we're going to play this as a duet. So fingers crossed that might all work out. I'll play it for you first, so if you'd like to read along as well, that would be good. That is a lovely atmospheric song. Now in this piece we've got a combination of crotchet, quarter notes, minims, half notes, and also some dotted notes. And we'll think about now where on the bow we're going to play those quarter notes or crotchets and minims or half notes, you see. So look at the first note of your piece and you can see it has a little V over the top, and that means up bow. So you play up bow, which goes in that direction. Now, because we're also playing minims or half notes, we're going to give the whole bow to those, but we're using half bows on the crotchets or the quarter notes. So I'm starting in the middle of the bow roughly, and I'm playing up bow. No, I'm starting here, and now all of these notes are going to be played on the lower half of the bow. Now let's play a long bow here. That brings me back to the heel of the bow. And now we're going to play lower half again. 2, 3. And here we've got a 3-beat note. A dotted minim equals 3 beats as we've seen before. And I can use the whole bow along those 3 beats. But then on the next crotchet or quarter note I need to start in the middle of the bow again. So I'm going to retake. Here's my scene. And I'm resetting the bow, retaking the bow we call that, to the middle of the bow. And then I'm playing 3 counts on the whole bow again. Now, you will have noticed, hopefully, that this was twice exactly the same thing. So if we can play that once, all right, then I benefit from it another time. And I really like that when you get repeated sections. So shall we just play that again from the beginning? So start in the middle of the bow. Find your note if you want to. And I'm checking that 3rd finger with my G string. Now I'm setting the bow ready to play in the middle of my bow. There we go. 2, 3. Lift the bow up and retake it. Smashing playing, very good. Now as we go along, so let's think about that dotted crotchet or dotted quarter note. We could split this note into 3 quavers or 3 8 notes, couldn't we? That would be the exact same time as it takes for the dotted crotchet to go. Now, if you have a look at this whole bar together, so if we're talking about this bar here, aren't we? So this half bar, we have got common time, haven't we? So this would be 4 crotchet beats, 4 quarter beats in one bar. But now, in order to find out exactly when this quaver comes along, we're going to split those first 2 crotchets into quavers. So I'm going to count 1 and 2 and this is the and of the second beat, the second half of the second beat, shall we say. So I'm counting. I'll say that to you in different words. So this is quite complicated. Normally we've got common time. So we've got 4 crotchet beats in a bar. In America, you guys say 4 quarter notes in one bar. Now when we see a quaver or an eighth note like we see here, we're going to split this beat into 2 quavers because we need to know when exactly the second half of this second beat begins. And we know every crotchet equals 2 quavers. In American terms, every quarter note equals 2 eighth notes. So if we split this note in 2, this second beat, an imaginary second beat, this is the and of 2 and. Okay, now I have to split this crotchet note also into 2 quavers so that I know exactly how I'm going to count it. And I'm counting 1 and 2. The start of the second beat is held on to this first beat because it's got that dot, you see. 1 and 2 and then I know exactly when to play this eighth note, this quaver note. 3, 4 is how it continues. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Shall we do that again? Here we're counting the crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2. Now then, let's see if we can play that. And when we play it, I want you to try, if you can, if you possibly can, count along in your head. So we're going to start on the dotted minim, which is the 8th bar if we don't count the first note. So in my part it's the 3rd bar of the second line. That's where we're starting. 3, 4, 2, 3, 1 and 2. Shall we just practice that counting again? 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2. That's awesome. And if you want to know more about how to count pieces, find my other course that is called How to Read Music Notes for Beginners. And there I'll go into great detail about how you can count all the different rhythms. So that is an alternative video for you to watch if you like. Now let's do this one more time. And let's now start on the dotted crotchet note. So that is the dotted quarter note. So 1 bar later than when we started a moment ago. 3, 4, 1 and 2. Here a moment, and now we're going to retake the bow again to the middle like we've done before, so that we can play the crotchets, the quarter notes that follow, at the lower half of the bow. And as you've noticed, is a 4 count note, which in England is called a semi-breve. in America is called a whole note. So, a lot of information there about rhythms and notes. So shall we play this whole piece again now? We're going to get started in the middle of the bow, and we're playing all the crotchets or the quarter notes that follow at the lower half of the bow. And this time I want you to try and leave your left hand fingers down as you've played them. 1, 2, 3. Quick retake. Wow, well done if you could follow me all that time. Super. Now some of you, I can imagine, want to ask me now, but in previous lessons you've said leave your bow on the string from the beginning of a piece to the end of a piece, and that is a good point. Yes, that is the general rule. You leave your bow down wherever you can, as our default setting is leaving the bow on the string. Here, however, I want you to get used to retaking the bow, because if I left my bow on the string, I would have a 3 count note, a dotted minim, to go 1, 2, 3, and then I needed to go back to the heel of the bow, so on the 4th beat of that bar, and I'm now talking about the penultimate bar of the first line, then I would have a big bash on that note. So I'll show you what I mean with that. So the crotchets here in the beginning are at the lower half of the bow. My bow down, I've got to travel right to the other end of the bow, right here. So while this gives me a very strong and powerful beat here on the 4th beat of the bar, the 4th beat of the bar is not as important a note as the 1st beat of the bar. So I want to be a bit careful not to bash that 4th beat out there. So I'll show you again this difference. So here, 2, 3. See, that is very loud on the G, and if I retake the bow it sounds more like this. So the emphasis here on this section is on the C. See, on the 1st beat of the bar, and not on the 4th beat of the previous bar. It's not like this. No, it's heavy here. You see, and that is why we're retaking the bow now. So yes, by default, always leave your bow on the string, except for when you're not. And when you progress, you will start to recognize places where you clearly won't leave your bow on the string. So it's still a very good habit to always leave it down. But for now, at this sort of level, I'll tell you when to retake the bow. So here, after every dotted minim or dotted half note, you lift the bow off and reset it at the middle. Now we're going to do a bit of an experiment. I've never done this before, but I've got an idea that this might work. So we're going to play a duet now, you and I together. You are going to be on the right hand side of your screen, so that's your part. And then I'll play you the duet version in a split screen on the left hand side. So Let's see if this might work. I'll count you in for 3. 1, 2, 3. I hope you enjoyed that. Very well done. And of course, if you didn't quite make it to the end, it doesn't matter. You can play this video over and over again until that time when it comes. So well done. Very, very good playing. In future, I hope that we can do a little bit more of that. So thank you very much for watching, and I very much look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.